And welcome back to another episode of the Double Dog Podcast. My name is Brenden and Eric. Thanks so much for tuning in today. We're talking week 3, giving away our best bets, giving every pick against the spread. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Help out the channel. Hit a like on the YouTube video if you're watching there, and please subscribe wherever you get your audio podcasts. I'm joined by my good friend, Mr. Eric Warnsey. Did you watch a little Aaron Rodgers vintage performance last night, my man?
I did. I enjoyed watching that personally. You know, it was on the Jets. So anytime Aaron Rodgers isn't beating the Bears and he's covering spreads, I'm happy.
I was thinking of you last night. I'm pretty sure Warnsey has seen this a million times. You know what was awesome? It was his mobility was back, man. He Next Gen Stats had a very cool stat where he ran 127 yards last night at 12 plus miles an hour. That's the most he's ran in a game since 2019. So like just the pocket movement, the foot mobility, it's all back. If he's playing like that, man, they got themselves a squad. He's
still got his fastball. So yeah. Jets are definitely a threat.
All right, we're going to preview 15 football games for you. Let's talk about last week. I went 0-3 in my locks. Wasn't the greatest. Justin Jefferson, I should have took the yards, not the receptions. Guy passes yard total on one freaking play, the 97-yard play, but he gets injured, so the receptions don't get there. I said I was taking the Titans and Will Levis because I don't think I'll make another boneheaded play. What does he do, Warnsey? He makes the most boneheaded play of the week again. They don't cover +4. Seahawks -3.5. They go to overtime and win by a field goal. So 0-3 on my locks. Apologize about that. But I did go 10-5 against the spread. So another big positive week there. Warnsey, how'd you do last week?
You're red hot against the spread, man. Red hot. We did have a lot of differing picks last week. So if you were red hot against the spread, I was not. I went 5-10 versus the spread last week and only 1-2 on my locks. So let's get the locks up this week. That should be the goal. We gotta go at least 70% on these locks.
Yeah, 1-5 can't happen again. We're gonna bounce back. Week 3. You know what? When I was previewing this, I was going, I can't freaking wait for bye weeks as someone who has to host this and go through all these 15 games. Yeah. The bye week episode should be a lot smoother for us going forward. But let's start it off, Warnsey. The New York Giants head to Cleveland to take on the Browns. The Browns is -6.5. So they've got just under a touchdown favorite over the New York Giants. Were you following this kicker nonsense with New York last week?
Yeah, I had no idea that they played with a man down on their roster and knew that Graham Gano had a wonky hammy on Saturday. Like
they knew all week, Warnsey. All week they knew this was gonna happen. The guy gets injured in pregame warmups. They have a kicker on the practice squad. So I don't understand why they didn't make some roster maneuvers to have the kicker active, the backup guy active on game day. So Graham Gano goes down, and that basically ruins the game for them, right? Like they had to go for every 2-point conversion. That was their biggest gripe, or that was their biggest downfall in this game when they lose to the Washington Commanders. So hopefully they have a frickin' kicker this week. But outside of that, what are you looking for in this game?
This is a weird one for me because at first glance I see Deshaun Watson favored by 6.5 points and think, oh God, no, let's look at the underdog in that scenario. But 6.5 points isn't enough to get me to bet on Daniel Jones and this New York Giants offense. I mean, they scored 3 touchdowns last week. That was against Washington. I think 3 touchdowns is going to be the lowest that Washington gives up all year. I don't look at that game and take anything away from this Giants offense. Malik Neighbors finally did emerge, but I do think Denzel Ward probably shuts him down. And if Neighbors isn't moving the chains, who's moving the chains for this Giants offense? I don't see it. So even though it's too many points for my liking, for the sake of the show, I'm going to take Cleveland -6.5, but it's not a lock for me.
The Browns offense has been very static this season. Something I found interesting. Second lowest in motion rate, and they've led the 5th highest pressure rate. So Deshaun Watson's kind of been a sitting duck back there. But you're right with Neighbors. Do you know who leads the league in target share in the NFL? Malik Neighbors. Wow. They are peppering him. They are force feeding him the ball. So I said all offseason, draft this freaking guy in fantasy.
Still doesn't really matter.
He's second in wide receiver fantasy points right now this year. So He's
he
cooking.
really?
My draft crush is coming to fruition, so that's all that matters. I was obsessed with him before the draft. Something that I found interesting as well in this game, the Giants' defense has allowed opposing passers to complete all 14 attempts when blitzing through 2 weeks. They're the only team that has not got to stop when blitzing. If you want to blitz Deshaun Watson in this game, which they're probably going to, they have to be better than that. I don't trust that. I think the Browns can cover this one just because I do think Daniel Jones is also going to be a sitting duck back there. I think the Browns defense is going to step up big, and I think they cover that 6.5.
Yeah, not a great game to start with, but I'm glad we're in agreement on Browns.
All right, let's get into the game of the week that is just thrusted now into the game of the week, and it's going to be a fun one. The Philadelphia Eagles head to Louisiana to take on the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are 2.5-point favorites. The Eagles were 3-point favorites Monday afternoon. The Eagles blow that game against the Atlanta Falcons. The spread takes a 6-point swing, 5.5-point swing. The hottest team in the NFL takes on my Birds. Warrensy, what you got?
The number one quarterback in EPA per play through 2 weeks is Derek Carr. I can't believe that that's a true statement, and it absolutely is. I'm on the Saints in this game. I know that the spread is a huge overreaction from what happened last week, but I do think it's rightful. And the most alarming thing for me right now is the Philadelphia Eagles, when they are in too high shell, which is Vic Fangio's scheme. He plays it all the time. They're allowing 7.5 yards per carry when they have two high safeties right now. The fact of the matter is the Georgia young kids on the defensive line are just not getting it done. Nolan Smith is just getting bullied in the run game. So is Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. So this renewed young version of Alvin Kamara, I think he's going to have running lanes, and Derek Carr is going to be in third and short. So I'm on the Saints here, -2.5.
Disappointed in you, but I needed you to back my Eagles. I needed you.
I can't back this defense right now, man.
It is 30th in EPA per play, 30th in DVOA. It's been one of the worst defenses in the NFL. I'm going to take the Eagles +2.5. I get them as an underdog here. Again, 6 points swing. Saquon Barkley catches that football. The Eagles are still favored by 3 points. We got one drop, and the point spread swings that way. I was the only one in the freaking world that took the New Orleans Saints to win the NFC South. So it's a team that I did like heading into the season. But I think some regression is coming down. I think the Eagles defense will play better. I think the Eagles offense matches up actually pretty nicely against the Saints defense. Historically, that they've done a very good job against Dennis Allen's defense. One thing to keep in mind here that I found interesting as well, the Saints really struggle against rushing quarterbacks. Over the last 3 seasons, they've allowed the most yards to opposing rushing quarterbacks. Last year, they allowed the most rushing yards per carry to opposing quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts has torched this team on the ground in his career. I think we're going to get a big Jalen Hurts on the ground day. I like his rushing yards over. Take him to score a touchdown. I think the Eagles can keep this one close. Give me the Birds +2.5. All right, on to the next one.
I also broke nugget there.
I also broke down this game pretty heavily on this YouTube channel, so if you're looking for more Eagles content, please check out me and Thomas Pearson's episode on this game. All right, next up, this actually a great game, probably one of my favorite games of the week. The Houston Texans are 2.5-point road favorites heading into Minnesota. It's funny, Sam Darnold's off to a hot start, and the Vikings are 2-0, but a couple of times he wants to throw interceptions. Like it just hasn't been like he's had 2 this year, but it could have been 3 or 4. Sam Darnold is.
But I think that's the reason this offense is working is because Sam Darnold's not gun shy. He's willing to throw the ball down the field, which is forcing these defenses to kind of respect his arm a little bit. And I think that's what's opening up things, especially for this running game.
Yeah, for sure, and he's making the right decisions, but he's also getting a lot of open throws from Kevin O'Connell. The Sam Darnold is 4th in wide open throws this season, according to the Next Gen Stats. And another thing is, too, he's just played with a win. The Minnesota Vikings and Sam Darnold's and the Minnesota Vikings offense, and Sam Darnold, 88% of their dropbacks have been when they have a positive win probability. So, like, they've been up in games, like the game script has gone their way, and that's probably not going to be this way in Houston. So I'm very curious to see how he kind of reacts when he's got more pressure and just things aren't going his way for sure in the game script.
Yeah, absolutely. Something I'm going to be looking for in this game is we know that Brian Flores is going to blitz. He's leading the NFL in blitz rate again, close to 50%. And CJ Stroud through 2 weeks is 8th in the NFL in QBR versus the blitz. So I think Stroud should be able to have success moving the chains with his wide receiver weapons and a reinvigorated Joe Mixon who's looking good. So it's boring, but I'm taking 3 favorites out of the gate after the favorites burned me last week. I'm gonna take Houston in this spot.
Yeah, the Vikings defense has been so fun to watch this year. I made a video on this podcast channel kind of breaking down what Flores is doing. Quickly on Mixon, he hasn't practiced Wednesday, Thursday.
Ooh,
his status
I
is up
missed
in the
that.
air. He hurt his ankle against the Bears, right? And he hasn't been a full go yet, but he's trying to play, so we'll see how his status goes. Nico Collins has been so good. Warren, he leads the league in receiving yards over expected with 80. That's like by far the most in the NFL. He's just been an awesome player for them. I actually like the Texans as well, -2.5. I'm going to take them. Not one of my locks, but I think the Stroud versus Darnold thing is going to come big here, and I do think they can cover a field goal on the road. All right, Broncos heading to Tampa Bay. The Bucs are 6.5-point favorites. Bo Nix against Todd Bowles warns you what could go wrong.
What could go wrong? I know this is one of my favorite angles of all time is Todd Bowles versus a rookie. He just seems to dominate them. But this is going to be the first underdog of the week for me, and I'm taking Denver plus the points. And it's because of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers injury report. They escaped Detroit with a win last week, but if you look into that box score, the Lions had 7 trips to the red zone. They had over 450 yards of offense. They just could not get the ball into the end zone. Vita Vea is the big one. I believe he is questionable. I think he's trending towards not playing. So if he can't go, I do think Denver has a chance of establishing a run game, which is something that they desperately, desperately need to help Bo Nix out. I think Tampa Bay wins the game, but I do think Denver keeps it close enough. So I'm going to grab my first dog of the week and take Denver plus 6.5.
Interesting. Yeah, 6.5 is a big spread. Like the Bucs have been good. Don't get me wrong, but I've actually been very impressed with the Broncos defense has done over 2 weeks. They held the Steelers last week, and I really do think that they're kind of maximizing the talent on that side of the ball and can give the Bucs some headaches. I have the Bucs -6.5. I think they cover just by that touchdown. That hook really got me. But this is a game that I'm not thrilled about, and I probably won't bet anything. Can we talk about Godwin here being like one of the best players in the NFL?
Yeah,
so far
he's amazing.
He's been awesome.
But also, part of the reason for taking Denver in this spot is the Bucs are still going to be down Winfield and 2 or 3 other players in the secondary. They're just severely banged up. So Vita Vea missed. They're missing players in all 3 levels of their defense, and just keep it close, Bo Nix, please.
Warns you, Bo Nix is averaging 9.1 yards per his drop back in the backfield. The next highest quarterback is 7.2. The guy is just drifting so far back on his route. So it's he's got to get that figured out because it's easier for pass rushers to get at when you're doing that. All right, Packers heading to Tennessee. The Titans are 2.5-point favorites right now. I just want to confirm that's still there. Yup, because this game wouldn't be that if Jordan Love was guaranteed to start. He has practiced Wednesday and Thursday. It looks like he's going to be a game-time decision. Matt LaFleur said they'll basically ride it up right to the 90 minutes before kickoff. What you looking for in this one after just a masterful performance by Matt LaFleur and that Packers offense running it down the Colts' throat?
Yeah, I'm not buying that masterful performance last week, to be honest. To me, that was a lot more of Gus Bradley than anything. I was just disgusted with his defense. He just showed the same base defense every time, and it was gash for 9 yards a carry. That's not going to happen against the Tennessee Titans, I'll tell you that, because this defense, 9th ranked in EPA per play this week. This is my first lock of the week. I'm going back to the fading Willis and the Green Bay Packers. They're not running for 200-plus yards this week against this Titans defense. The biggest budding superstar in the NFL right now is Sweat on the inside, their second-round rookie. Him and Justin Simmons are 2 bad boys in the inside there, and I think that they're going to dominate this game. It's going to be close, and as long as Will Levis does not throw up all over himself, I think they cover again. Because
I literally just did this last week.
I know you did this, but now, and I also like the kind of the chance that I might get an injured Jordan Love playing in this game. I think it would be absolutely insane for the Packers to start him this week and risk further injury. I would definitely sit him this week in a non-conference opponent. Next week you have Minnesota, a division game. Wouldn't you just rest Jordan Love to make sure he can play for that game?
Well, if I'm the Packers, I'm playing Jordan Love if he can play. Like, you know what I mean?
Even if he's not 100%.
Well, it sounds like he's not going to be 100% basically for the next month. Like, he's going to have a little bit of he's going to be hampered a little bit there, but I think he's going to play, Warrensy. Like, he's practicing both days. He's taking first team reps. That's why the spread's baffling me here with the 2.5. That's why I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers plus 2.5. One, I just think Matt LaFleur's coach. I'm on the other side. I watch the whole, basically, that game film on offense. I thought the Packers did a tremendous job. Now, they're not going to be able to run the ball, like you said, against the Titans. The Titans are very good at run defense. But I just think Jordan Love is going to end up suiting up, and I think the spread's going to flip over the next couple of days. So you're locking in the Titans. I'm going to take the Packers. All right, next up, the Chicago Bears. Warrensies. Chicago Bears head to Indianapolis. They're taking on the Colts. The Colts are 1.5-point favorites at home. Warrensy, what are you making of the Caleb Williams experience so far through 2 weeks?
It's ugly. It's ugly. A lot of Bears Twitter has been playing the panic game. On a scale of 1 to 10, how worried are you about blank? And then there's a bunch of options. And Caleb, my worry, it's still only a 6. I'm not there on Caleb, but my worry about this offensive line is a 9, and my worry about Shane Waldron is a 25. I was disgusted last week with that game plan against the Houston Texans. In what world is DeAndre Swift getting 18 touches and getting 25 yards from that? Like, it was just it was a waste of a down every time they handed the ball to DeAndre Swift. It felt like you started the drive 2nd and 9 every single time, and it was really worrisome. With that being said, in comes a banged up Indianapolis Colts defense that has been nothing other than dreadful so far to start the year. They've allowed 484 rush yards through 2 weeks. That's the most in the NFL since 2002 through 2 weeks. And it looks like DeForest Buckner's going to miss. So that run defense
he's on
might
IR.
actually...
Buckner's on
he
IR.
is going to miss. Yeah. Okay. So that run defense could get even worse. We knew that their secondary was going to take a big hit, losing their top corner for the entire year. But now that DeForest Buckner's out there, missing guys in both levels, and this Gus Bradley defense is just so plain and vanilla. There's no disguise, nothing. He just lines up, plays zone, and lets the other offensive coordinator cook. If Shane Waldron doesn't have a good game plan here, I'm going to be really, really, really disappointed. I'm taking the Bears plus 1.5. It's not going to be a lock for me, but this the other stat was this Indianapolis offense has been on the field for 40 minutes, and the defense has been on the field for 80 minutes so far. It's just it's not going well in Indianapolis, and I hope it continues for one more week.
I just want to talk about the Bears-Texans game for a sec. D'Amico just didn't respect the Bears game plan whatsoever. Like, a guy that never blitzes. Like, he's like always bottom 5 in blitz rate. He blitzed 41% against the Bears. He just said, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
Like,
Caleb's been hit every play.
I don't trust your offensive game plan. Caleb has a 7 QBR against the blitz right now. It's dead last in the NFL. They have to get better there. I have like the Bears need to run the ball on my notes here. Like, get Caleb a nice running game. Figure it out, Shane Waldron.
DeAndre Swift sucks.
I could have told you that. I could have told you that.
DeAndre Swift legitimately gets like a shoelace could tackle the guy. His ability to remain balanced after just slight contact is so poor. He just goes down really easy. I'd love to see some more Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson mixed in personally. I think too many touches for DeAndre Swift early.
Yeah, I also think they need to get Caleb on the moving like in the like outside the pocket. They did it. Shane Waldron did it a lot with Geno Smith in 2022. I don't understand why this hasn't been more of the game plan, but this gave me my first lock of the week. I'm locking the Bears plus 1.5. I think they get it done. A money line. I'm probably like the money line too. Like if you want a little extra juice, I think they win this game outright. I think they're a better team than the Colts. My big reasoning here is I still just can't trust this Colts offense. Anthony Richardson right now, Wards, he's dead last in completion percentage with 52%. The next quarterback's at 59%. Like it's a huge drop off. The Bears defense played really damn well against the Houston Texans. I think this is a top 7 defense in the NFL. I think the Bears offense just does enough to win this game. I'd be fading the Colts a lot this year. They're so banged up as well on defense. We talked about Buckner already, like Samson Ebukam didn't play this year towards I think it was a torn Achilles or torn ACL. He was basically their best pass rusher last year. Juju Brents is now gone. Like they don't have the horses to go get Caleb and blitz and pressure him like the Houston Texans did. So I think the spread's wrong. I think the Bears should be a 1-point favorite. I like the juice here. So give me Caleb Williams and the Bears to go get a win and go 2-1. I would drop the Colts to 0-3 on the season.
Hope so.
All right. We both have a lock in. Chargers, just a fun game. Los Angeles Chargers head to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. The Steelers are 1.5-point road favorites. Both 2-0 teams here. So one of these teams is leaving 3-0. One of these teams is leaving 2-1. The Chargers are third in run call and run design runs rate, and the Steelers are fourth in design runs. So give me a grease fest. These teams like to run the ball, move the clock. Something's got to give here. Wardsy, what do you make of this one?
Yeah, this is as greasy of a game as you can really find, but greasy in a good way. Like this is a true football guys like game. Like just so the trenches are going to be everything. And speaking of those trenches, there is a stat here that I think is a little bit false, and that is that the Chargers right now are the number 1 run defense in the NFL. I think that's based off opponent that
they haven't been tested yet.
Exactly. The Panthers can't run the ball for shit, and same with the Raiders with Zamir White and Alexander Madison. They have not been tested yet, and I expect the Pittsburgh to come out with a straight ground attack. Basically, I was very tempted to taking the under in this game. It's as low as a total can get of 36, but this is going to be the 1 p.m. game that you look at the clock, it's 2 p.m. and this game's at halftime because there's just going to be so many running plays. I do think that this front 7 of Pittsburgh is by far the toughest test for the Chargers, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Chargers step up in class, specifically offensively. So I'm going to take the Chargers, but it's not a lock by any means.
I had about
Sorry, I'm taking the Steelers. My bad.
Okay. I had the Chargers. I'm taking the Chargers plus 1.5. I had about 5 picks I was debating on for my locks. This was one of them. I'm not buying the Steelers offense just yet. Like Justin Fields had a couple nice throws. The one that got called back last week was beautiful. I don't know if you saw that one when he's rolling.
Yeah,
he texted me
his best throw of his career.
Yeah, it literally was. It was beautiful.
I know. Didn't even count.
I think the Steelers' offensive line and pass protection hasn't been fully tested yet. I think they're like the Chargers' defense and the pass rush is beautiful to watch. Minter has these guys stunting well.
I thought I saw Bosa questionable. Did he pop up on the injury report?
Sounds like he's gonna play. And I think the Steelers have like a left tackle problem right now. Broderick Jones got benched last week. He's been very vocal about it in the media this week. Steelers also haven't turned the ball over. They have 5 turnovers or 5 takeaways and 0 turnovers. And I think that comes back down to earth. So it's not my lock. I was thinking about it, but I do like the Chargers plus 1.5. I also think the Chargers are the better football team here. So you got a 1.5 there. So I take that.
I've never been so excited for a football game with a total of 36. Like,
it is a fun one, man. I'm gonna have eyes on this one. 100%.
For sure.
All right, there's the 1 o'clock slate. Warns you now. We'll be back on the other side with the 4 o'clock games and the night games.
The Double Doink podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Life is hard. It's especially hard when you don't have someone you can open up to. Not everyone is comfortable talking to their friends and family about their personal matters or anything that is bothering them on a day-to-day basis. Mental health is so important to continued success in this world. Therapy is a great way to regroup and get everything off your chest. Insert BetterHelp. BetterHelp is the largest online therapy service, 100% online. They will match you with a professional licensed therapist you can trust. You can talk with your therapist however you see fit, via text, phone call, or video chat. BetterHelp has successfully helped over 4 million people worldwide deal with their day-to-day mental health issues. Use the link in the podcast description to get 10% off your first month at BetterHelp.
And we're back on the Double Doink Podcast, finishing up our Week 3 preview. Next up, the Miami Dolphins head to Seattle. They take on the Seahawks. The Seahawks are 4.5-point favorites against the Finns. Tua Tagovailoa headed to IR this week, so he's officially out at least 4 games. It's Skylar Thompson time, baby, for the Miami Dolphins. The last time we saw him was in the wild card round. Well, actually, I guess we saw him last week, but the last time he started a game was in the wild card round in 2022 against the Buffalo Bills. Really up and down performance for him. Held onto the ball a long time. He was indecisive when he making a decision. So now he's got a whole week to prepare. He knows Mike McDaniel's offense. He's been there a while. Warren's excited? Are you thrilled about Skylar time for the Dolphins?
I sure am not. I mean, when Jordan Love went down and Malik Willis came in, we had an 8-point spread difference. From Tua to Skylar Thompson looks like to be about a 5-point difference, which I haven't seen enough of Skylar Thompson to really get a read on, but from what I've seen, I'm not impressed with. And this is a tough first matchup for him going into Seattle. We know that that 12th man can get that building going absolutely bonkers. And I've been really impressed with this Seattle defensive line, front seven specifically. They've been getting after people. They've been stopping the run.
Boy, Mafe leads the league in pressures right now.
I did not have that on my bingo card. So this Miami offensive line, which is just dreadful, this is not an easy first matchup for Skylar Thompson. So I'm leaning Seattle right now, but I have so many favorites on my card this week. I'm looking for some underdogs. I'm hoping you can maybe convince me to take Miami here, but I'm guessing you're going to be on Seattle, so I'm probably riding with you.
No, I'm actually I have my game pick as a Dolphins plus 4.5. Something stinks with this one. I don't know.
It does.
You know what I mean?
Right?
Like
it does.
It's a fishy one to me. Like all the injury news, like everything points Seattle's way. I'm gonna zig when everyone's zagging. I don't know. So I feel like the Miami could keep this one close. Mike McDaniel, I trust him to get a nice game plan for Skylar. So I'm gonna take the Dolphins plus 4.5. I also think Devon Achane is playing so well right now. If they can scheme up some ways to get him the ball in open space, there's a ton for Skylar Thompson to work with. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. So I'm gonna stick with I'm gonna go with the Miami Dolphins.
Okay, good. I need some more underdogs, so I'm gonna go Dolphins with you.
All right, Orensy, the Carolina Panthers head to Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are 5.5-point favorites. The Red Rifle is back, Warrensy. This is hilarious. The last game that he started was week 3 of last season. He went 34 of 58 for 361 yards and 2 touchdowns. He almost threw the ball 60 times in his one start with Carolina. This stat is hilarious. Both of Red Rifle's touchdowns came against zone coverage in that game. Bryce Young has never scored a touchdown or thrown a touchdown, against zone coverage. It's
supposed to be easier.
So the Las Vegas Raiders have Brock Bowers and Devonta Adams. They're both playing really well. Gardner Minshew second in the NFL in passing yards right now. What do you make of this one?
I'm so happy Dave Canales made this decision. I think he was one more half of football away from losing this locker room forever.
And also losing his mind. He would have lost his mind.
For sure. There were some clips going around last week, just highlights of Bryce Young. It was ugly. The one that really stuck out to me was when Adam Thielen was running a crossing route and was just wide open. Bryce Young got the pocket. He had time. He just didn't even see Thielen. And Thielen showed some bad body language. And to me, that's when I knew it was over. When you get a veteran like Adam Thielen, who's a really well-respected guy, by all accounts is very relaxed, a patient guy. When he was showing bad body language and was like, I'm done with this guy, it was pretty clear. You got to move on there. And Canales made the right decision. So I'm going to take the Panthers and the points here just because Gardner Minshew favored by 5.5 just seems a little to me. So I'm going to take the points because I think what we said about Carolina coming into this year has been true. I do think they upgraded places, but we just haven't seen it yet because Bryce Young hasn't been able to deliver the ball to anybody. if you look at their offensive line metrics, this offensive line is sitting in that like 12 to 15
Warranty,
range.
they've allowed the second lowest pressure rate in the league right now.
Yeah, they can't run block for shit, but the pockets have been clean for Bryce Young. He just can't see over them to throw the ball. They just got a couple more jump passes on the highlight reel, which is just such a tough look.
I like the Panthers plus 5.5 too. This is the 5th game that didn't make it. I was close to locking in the Panthers plus 5.5 as one of my locks for the show. I just get like a little motivation from the team, like a little kick in the butt. You know, you got Andy Dalton playing from the Panthers, released a hype video for Andy Dalton. I don't know if you saw that one. That was hilarious. We're dropping Andy Dalton hype videos in 2024. That's kind of the state of the Panthers right now. I still don't think the Raiders are very good. Impressive win for coming back against the Ravens last week. Don't get me wrong, but I think there's a little bit of smoke and mirrors with this offense. I think they kind of regress to the means. I think 5.5's a lot here, and I think Carolina can keep this one within a field goal. I think these two teams are pretty evenly matched.
I'm weirdly excited for this game because I do just want to see if, like, say the Panthers go out there and put up 20 points. You know how bad that looks on Bryce Young? Like,
oh yeah.
And
If
they look competent, it will speak so much to how far Bryce Young has to go.
I'm gonna be Red Rifle chanting this one. I'm gonna be actively rooting for him. Like I'm a Carolina Panthers fan this week.
He's only 36, eh? I don't know
He still got it in the tank.
Like for some reason in my head I was like, damn, Andy Dalton's got to be getting close to 40, right? And it's like he's a
top 35 quarterback in the league. Like
for sure.
He's one of the best backups in the league for sure. Yeah, I'm all on board with the Panthers this week. I actually kind of wish now I took it as one of my locks. All right, the Detroit Lions are 3-point road favorites heading in to Arizona. Arizona was awesome last week, torched the Los Angeles Rams defense. Kyler Murray was the best quarterback in the league in week 2. He was phenomenal. He made so many nice plays. That one throw to Trey McBride on the left sideline was a thing of beauty. Marvin Harrison Jr. just explodes in the first quarter. He had 130 receiving yards in the first 15 minutes of the football game. The Lions offense is really struggling right now. 25th in dropback EPA. They're 28th in red zone efficiency. They can't punch the ball in when they get inside the 20-yard line.
That was last week.
Yeah, and if it's for a team that's really good at running the football, shouldn't be a problem for them. Warrensy, the Lions are your squad this year heading into the season. Do you think they can get their offensive woes figured out?
I can, and that's I did wake up this morning and see the spread has dropped to 2.5 for Detroit. So if I can get 2.5, I'm going to use that as one of my locks.
We'll give you 2.5. We'll give you 2.5.
Right. Through the key number of 3 there, I think that's a huge half point, and that means money's coming in on Arizona. Rightfully so after the way they looked last week. They looked awesome. But one of my favorite angles in betting is taking a good team off a loss. Detroit qualifies as thus. It was a really, really tough performance last week. Like I said earlier, though, 450 yards of offense. What's really killed them was 1 for 7 in the red zone. That's not going to get it done in the NFL. And I do really like their matchup versus Arizona defense. I think that Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell get back to their roots and they hand this ball off 30, maybe 40 times, 30 to 35 times. They're really going to lean on this ground game and the big boys up front. I think that they should be able to get a push with ease. And they just got to stop Kyler a couple times on the other side. I was close to also taking the over in this game. It is 51.5.
Yeah, 51.5. It's the highest total of the week.
That's why I went with the Lions instead. But I do think there's a lot of points in this game. And I just like the angle of taking a good team off a loss. So give me the Lions minus 2.5.
The biggest mismatch in this game is the Lions' offensive line versus the Cardinals' defensive line.
Yeah.
That's going to be their down. If the Cardinals have a downfall and don't make the playoffs, it's going to be strictly because of the front seven. And this is a very good 5-man unit Detroit's got up front. Another thing is Aiden Hutchinson has gone against backup offensive tackles in both of his weeks so far, and he's torching them. And guess what? He gets another backup offensive tackle this week in Kelvin Beachum. I'm going to go the other side, though. I'm going to take the Cardinals plus 2.5. I have plus 3 here, but I'll give you the 2.5. I'll take 2.5. Whatever. But I do think Arizona can keep this one close. I was big on the Cardinals this year. I'm worried about the Lions offense. I'm not going to lie. We'll see if they can get it figured out, but I like what Kyler and the boys are cooking. So I think they ultimately leave Detroit covering or leave Arizona.
Games. We got a couple good games in the 4 p.m. window for once, eh?
great win. This is a good week of games. Better than last week for sure. The Chiefs Bengals obviously delivered, but outside of that, there wasn't a ton of exciting games. All right, the Baltimore Ravens, 1.5 point road favorites heading into the Dallas Cowboys. Speaking of struggling offenses, the Cowboys offense right now has a 38.2% success rate. That's 25th in the league. That is not good. That's worse than the Tennessee Titans, the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's basically been CeeDee Lamb or nothing for this Cowboys offense. So a couple of NFC powerhouses not being able to move the ball consistently. My favorite game of the week. This is awesome. Warrensy, what do you like about this one?
This game is actually going to have my third lock in it, and I always like to mix in one total for the week, and this is the one that stuck out to me. I'm going over 47.5 in this game. This is another game where you have two teams coming off a loss. I would kind of wanted to back both these teams this week. Unfortunately, they're playing each other, so I couldn't do that. How do I get a bet in on when I'm liking two teams to bounce back? Let's take the over. I'm really worried about this Baltimore front seven, man. It's not the same. They're not getting after the quarterback. They really missed Jadeveon Clowney. I think Dak is going to have a clean pocket and be able to find CeeDee Lamb down the field. And on the other side of things, I think John Harbaugh. John.
You got it right. You got it right.
I think John Harbaugh is going to have this Ravens team ultra focused. The Ravens aren't going 0-3, are they? I just can't see it. I think Harbaugh is really going to have his team clicking on all three phases here, but I like the over more than anything in this ball game.
All right, I like it. I think there's going to be a lot of points in this one as well. The Ravens' offensive line issues, we could be looking at the Ravens in like week 7 and go, this offensive line's unplayable. They can't do anything. They can't keep Lamar upright. Now, last week, they started doing more max protections. On 10 third down plays, the Ravens had 7 or 6 or plus offensive lines 6 different times. So they're starting to realize that they need more max protection on Lamar Jackson. I don't know if you've seen this in the media this week, but John Harbaugh is cooking Ben Cleveland vocally and openly in the media. I don't know what it is. He hates him.
Which is rare for him.
Yeah, like it's been one of the weirdest storylines this week is listening to his press conferences talk about one of his players in Ben Cleveland. I am locking in as one of my locks, so I'm going to be locking it in. I like the Ravens -1.5. I think they leave Dallas with a W here.
They have
Dallas, they're not going 0-3 like you said. If they do, then I'll eat my words. But I think this team's too good to go 1-3. I think they're a better football team than the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas has been getting crushed in the intermediate part of the field on defense right now. 64.1% expected completion percentage on such throws. The 10 to 20 yard mark in the intermediate of the field. That's dead last in the NFL by a wide margin. Lamar Jackson so far this season, 12 of 17 on intermediate passes through the middle of the field for 225 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's the 4th best QB yard of any quarterback. So it does it's a strength versus a weakness. I don't think the Dallas Cowboys D-line is going to be able to kind of wreck the game that other teams have been able to do. I like Micah Parsons, don't get me wrong. He's amazing. I think they're going to be able to focus on him. I also expect a big Justice Hill game in this one. I think he's going to be able to get some yards through the air. It's almost like he's RB1 right now with how Derrick Henry's running.
Yeah.
It's been
coming into the year, we loved the Derrick Henry acquisition. Who couldn't? Because you got the power with the Lamar speed. It's a great combo, but I don't know if Derrick Henry works when he's not the feature of an offense, because what makes him so good is feed him 20 times and then that 20th carry, the defense is their back finally breaks and they can't do it. But when you're not consistently feeding Henry, I don't know if it works the same.
And they need him in a single back set, like running downhill. That's not really Lamar's game. So I never really like
this O-line's game now either.
I never really liked the fit, but we'll see if they can kind of figure out his usage going forward. But I also just think Dallas's defense, something that's being under talked about, is like they can't tackle. Like everyone's talking about, Dallas's defense, like they don't have the horses and whatnot. Like it's basically simple. They're dead last in tackle percentage right now in the NFL by a wide margin. The Eagles are 30th in this metric. Dallas is 32nd. So the NFC East can't get ball carriers on the ground right now. But I'm all over the Ravens. It's probably my favorite pick of the week. Give me them -1.5.
Nice.
All right. Move on to the injury bowl. The San Francisco 49ers are 6.5 point favorites.
That's what I had written down here. This is like a college bowl game. It's like the Tostitos Fiesta Injury Bowl.
It's insane how many people are out in this one. So if you don't know, George Kittle also did not practice on Thursday. It doesn't sound like he's playing the way that Kyle Shanahan talked about in the media. So if Kittle doesn't play, that'd be George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey on the 49ers, and then the Rams. Do we have time? I have a book here I have to read here. Everyone, basically, everyone's dead. Whole team dead for the Los Angeles Rams.
Seriously.
This game, we got robbed because this would have been such a fun game if everyone was healthy on both sides of the ball, but it's just not. I had a very hard time reading this one, so I'll pass it to you. What do you make of this one?
Yeah, the line is 6.5 now. So are we going with 6.5?
I have 6.5. Yep.
Yeah. So that when it was 7.5, I thought that was too many points. It's through the key number of 7, but at 6.5, I think I'm gonna go with the 49ers because they do fit my angle of a good team coming off a loss. I don't know what to say about this Rams team. I think that Sean McVay kind of packed up shop as early as the second quarter last week. He didn't want to show Arizona anything late in that game because why would he? The game was over, and I'm guessing that Rams-Cardinals game version 2.0 is going to have quite a bit of meaning to it later in the season. So Sean McVay really did not show anything offensively, so I don't know if he has a few tricks up his sleeve for this game. But just the injuries on that side of the ball, I think even if Sean McVay comes up with a great game plan, I don't know if they can take advantage of it. So I'm going to take the 49ers minus 6.5, but I do not feel good about backing either of these teams with their long injury lists.
I actually thought the Rams offense played okay last week. The game script just got away from them. By the time there's not much they could do. They missed some throws, they missed a couple throws, a couple plays go here and there. They could maybe keep up with Arizona, but by the time they blinked, it was 21-0. So there wasn't much they could really do with it. Stafford is gonna have to put on a masterclass to win this one. I'm gonna take the points here. I'm gonna go with the Los Angeles Rams plus 6.5. Brock Purdy thrown to Eric Saubert and Brandon Ayuk doesn't really thrill me. I think Jordan Mason, if the 49ers are going to blow this one out, they're going to have to run the ball down their throats, which is definitely a possibility. But I'd rather have Christian McCaffrey running down their throats, of course, than Jordan Mason. So 6.5 is too many for me, but this is probably my least favorite game that we picked.
Yeah,
all week.
I don't know how anybody could have a confident lean either way in this game. You don't know what each offense is going to look like with all the superstars that are missing.
All right, time to get into the night games. The Kansas City Chiefs are on the road heading to Georgia to take on the Atlanta Falcons. They're 3-point road favorites right now. This point spread took a dip from a point down from when I was previewing that one. It was -4. Now it is -3. I don't know what's going on, but books are a lot of money's coming in on the Atlanta Falcons after Kirk Cousins drives down the field and breaks Philadelphia Eagles fans' heart, including myself. I just want to quickly get this off my chest. Fuck off with the back-to-back primetime games for teams. I don't want to see the Falcons on primetime again. Come on, schedule makers. There's 32 damn teams in the NFL. Mix it up a little bit. We don't need to see a team play on Monday night and then Sunday night. But what do you make of Kirky Chains hosting Patrick Mahomes?
Oh, well, when I was getting ready for this game, the spread was over 3. I think when I was looking at it was 3.5. Now that it's 3, I'm still going to take the points in the Falcons, but I obviously feel way worse at 3 than 3.5. And I think the reason I'm backing the Falcons here is because the group that I was most, optimistic about after week 2 was this Falcons O-line. They got bullied week 1 in the trenches versus a very good Steelers front 7, and they showed when they play a lesser front 7, they can dominate.
They balled out.
Lidstrom was back doing his thing in the run game, just blowing open holes for Bijan Robinson. I expect more of the same. I wanted to take the under in this game because of 46.5, because I really do think that the Falcons have the safety play to keep Patrick Mahomes in front of them. I don't think you're going to have Xavier Worthy blow past this defense and have huge gains. I think they're really going to keep things in front of them. So I was leaning under, but then I can't take an under in a Patrick Mahomes game. That's just asking for trouble. So I'm going to take the Falcons and the points, but I really wish it was 3.5.
The Falcons have been very good on first down this year. They're first in success rate. When it gets to third down and fourth down, 30th in success rate. So if they want to beat the Chiefs, they have to get off to kind of early starts or hot starts on early downs. I thought Bijan Robinson played maybe the best football game I've seen for running back in a very long time last week. He was phenomenal. Maybe Barkley against the Packers is up there as well, but he was like, he had every open hole. He was breaking tackles. He was blocking in the pass game. He was like, that's why you draft the guy that high. Like he was amazing. The Kansas City Chiefs run defense has been kind of their problem over the last couple of years. So if you're dating back to 2022, they're 28th in EP per play against the run. So can Bijan Robinson kind of take advantage of that? What do you make of Travis Kelce's slow start? He only has 45. He doesn't have over 45 receiving yards in his last 5 regular season games. They can't get him the ball right now.
Yeah. I mean, he's gonna be the guy that opposing teams circle, right? And it's only gonna be more attention now that Pacheco's out. Are they going with Carson Steele as RB1 for this game?
Like it, yeah.
That's
Kareem Hunt. They signed him off the scrap heap, so they're kind of mixing it up here. Carson Steele's hilarious. Fun guy to root for.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Fun guy to root for, but that fumble last week was a killer.
And they ended up giving him the ball late in the game. They went back to him. They trusted him.
Because they didn't have anybody else.
Yeah, it's true. Usually if you do fumble like that, Andy Reid's putting your butt on the bench, but they went right back to him late in the game.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to watch this game. Like I said, I wish it was 3.5. I'd feel way more strongly about that, but I'm going to take Falcons +3 and hope that this is a close game.
I'm going to take the Chiefs -3. I think they're 3 points better than the Falcons. I had a hard time getting a read on this one for sure, though. But for the sake of the show, we're going with the Kansas City Chiefs -3. All right. Head to Monday Night Football. Back-to-back Monday night doubleheader. Love this.
2 weeks in a row, eh?
Yeah, I wish the games were spread out, though. Like, I don't like the both on the TV at the same time. The Jaguars kick off at 7:30. The Jaguars-Bills kick off at 7:30. Commanders and Bengals kick off at 8:15. Why don't we do like a 7:30 and a 9? You know, like spread the games out a little bit. That's something, again, schedule makers, man. Get your shit together.
I agree. But for the sake of this game, we'll start with the Bills versus the Jags. That one kicks off first. I'm going to take the points with the Jags here, +5. I'm kind of favorites heavy. I've been looking for a couple dogs later in this card, and I just expect a really desperate Jags team. They're 0-2 here. You got to give me something here, Doug Peterson. Your seat is getting hot.
Oh, welcome to the hot seat, man. His seat's burning.
Another front seven that I've been kind of surprised about is this Bills front seven. Rousseau and Ed Oliver have kind of looked like they've taken a step and are really carrying the mail for this defense. But come on, Trevor Lawrence, just be good for a full 4 quarters for me, could you please? You just keep every game. It feels like you see 1 or 2 throws where you're like, oh yeah, that's why he's a $55 million a year quarterback. He can make throws like that, and then you'll just have 2 drives where he's like 1 for 3 for 10 yards, then like in a quarter, and it's like, what are we doing here, Trevor? Like, just play 4 quarters of football for me, and I think you'll be fine. So I'm gonna take the points, but as you can probably tell, I don't feel great about it.
If it was anyone else besides Doug Peterson, because I love him forever for bringing a Super Bowl to Philadelphia and giving me the best night of my life, I would say this team is horribly coached. Can you say it for me so I can agree with it?
You had a great tweet, and it was Doug Peterson's obsession with Press Taylor is going to get him fired twice, and
it is.
This offense is just so stale. I gotta see something from this offense before I bet actual dollars on them. I'm just kind of going with the 0-2 team in a hole. It's got to be desperate.
The fundamentals are just brutal. Like, they're 5-20 on 3rd and 4th down right now. That's dead last in the NFL. They have the worst starting field position of any team in the NFL, so just poor special teams right there. And they're second worst in red zone offense. Like, they're just like this thing, like, those are coaching things, right? Like, those are things that you got to get an edge on. Like, those 3 stats right there, they're bottom of the barrel in the league. I also like the Jags +4.5. I'm on that kind of that desperate mark. The Jags play a ton of man coverage. It's going to be a hard matchup for these Bills receivers to get open. Like, they like to press you and get after you. The Jags defense is actually 10th in success rate and 11th in EPA per play right now this year, so it's been a bright spot for them. I think they're outplaying the talent there. So I do like the Jags plus 4.5, but don't love it. All right, final game of the week. The Washington Commanders head to Cincinnati. The Bengals are 7.5-point road favorites. One of my favorite comments of the week in the media this so far this week heading into the Sunday. I don't know if you saw this last night. Cam Taylor-Britt just shredded Cliff Kingsbury in that Commanders offense. He called him a nice college offense. He said that they don't really do anything or give Jaden Daniels much to work with. He's very honest. Cam Taylor-Britt is not afraid to speak his mind. He cooked Xavier Worthy in the media the week before that, and then he had the amazing interception. So he backed it up.
He backed it up. He backed it up with one of the nicest interceptions I've ever seen. This was one that was so tough for me because I think Cincinnati's offense should cook here. I mean, Washington on paper might be the worst secondary in the league. So more than anything, I like the over 47 here because I think Washington's offense should have success too. I'm going to take, for the sake of the show, I'm going to take Bengals minus 7.5. And I think it is because what Cam Taylor-Britt said about Cliff Kingsbury's offense, it is very stale, very vanilla. You know what you're getting. And Luan Marumo, what his best trait as a defensive mind is making adjustments. I think in this first half, you could see maybe Washington moves the ball a little bit with a little bit of success. And then at halftime, I expect Lou to come out in the second half with a game plan that will shut down this offense. Mm-hmm. And on the other side, I think Jamar Chase gets right here. I think this is this circled Jamar Chase and this passing offense for the Bengals to get right versus a really bad secondary. So give me Bengals minus 7.5. I think it's a lot of points, but I'm hoping Sweet Lou makes some nice second half adjustments for me.
Mm-hmm. The Commanders' offense is running wide receiver halfback screens on 33% of their plays, by far the most in the NFL. Jaden Daniels doesn't have a completion over 20 yards yet this season. 4.4 yards per attempt. Warrensy, he's averaging 2.31 seconds to get rid of the ball. That's the fastest rate in the NFL by a mile. And the Commanders still have the 10th highest pressure rate allowed. Like he's getting pressured, he's getting rid of the ball, or like something's got to give here with this Commanders offense. You cannot continue this way. Like they have to open up his offense a little bit, and I think Luan Arumo's going to shut this shit down. That hook really pushed me away from locking in the Bengals minus 7.5. Like I do think the back door's open there for like the Jaden Daniels for him to score a garbage touchdown to make it 7 to get that 7 cover. So I'm gonna mix it up here with the prop. You talked about Jamar Chase. Give me Jamar Chase touchdown plus 100 as my lock to finish this one off.
Nice. I like that a lot.
The Washington Commanders passing defense is averaging 0.58 dropback EPA right now, by a mile the worst in the league. And they were dead last season, this metric. They can't stop anyone. A high school offense could come in and cook this thing through the air. So I went into this one wanting to take the Bengals spread, but I looked at Jamar Chase plus 100. I'm like, fire me up. He's fine in the end zone this week.
Yeah, that dropback EPA also includes a game versus Daniel Jones. So
exactly, yeah. Like the Giants had success through the air last week, so I would take the Bengals minus 7.5 as well. So that's gonna be my spread pick, and then give me Jamar Chase as my lock plus 100. All right, Warrensy, let's recap. What are your 3 locks?
All righty, my 3 locks for the week. Give me the Tennessee Titans minus 2.5. Give me is that 1.5 right now? What is that Titans spread? Where is it? Okay, yes, 2.5. So I'm going Titans minus 2.5. Detroit Lions minus 2.5. And over 47.5 in the Ravens and Cowboys game.
Locking in Bears plus 1.5. The Baltimore Ravens minus 1.5 and Jamar Chase to score a tutter. That's all she wrote for week 3. Again, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. That'd be greatly appreciated. If you're looking for Eagles content, check out me and Thomas's episode breaking down the Eagles Saints and looking back at the film against the Falcons. That was definitely a fun first 30 minutes of the episode. And Warrensy and I will be back next week to do week 4, and we will talk to you later.